Hey, welcome back to 5 Acres Honey Farm. I'm Tara Lynn. I wanted to say a quick hello to many new followers. It's great to have so many new folks here. And I also wanted to just give a little reminder that if you are new here and you have not yet subscribed, please do. I have fairly regular videos and some background cockatiel noise, but I have fairly regular videos about permaculture, beekeeping, gardening, and occasionally we'll have some videos about visiting national parks and exploring different parts of North Carolina. This video today is about my first experience as an adult ordering chicks through the mail. When I was a kid, my dad had ordered some chicks through the mail, but this was my first time ever doing that myself. And I'll bring you down to the basement where we've got the brooder set up. Right now we have let's see, we have 16 chicks. We've got 3 layers and 13 meat birds. This is my first time raising meat birds, and I'll take you down there. You can have a look at them. They're just a little over 2 weeks old now. One of the layers is a little bit older, and I'll explain why, or you may already know from an earlier video where I did a little quick update on the little birds. But this is all about if I would order chicks through the mail again, what that experience was like, and some things to really look out for. And I'll take you down there and tell you some more. These are the 2 different brooders that I have set up. The smaller one has the layer chicks, and this larger one has the meat birds. And I'm using 2 different heaters inside. One is this style where the height is adjustable with some little spinning corner dowels, and the other one that I have is actually, excuse all these wires, is this thermo poultry brooder. So I'll just do a brief explanation of their setups here. So you know, the smaller setup is the setup that I use for all of the layers that we've ever had here, and it's also the same setup that I use for all of our quail hatching. That little heater actually helps, like, even though there's just 3 chicks in here, we've raised you know, around 5 layers at most at one time, but it actually raises about 30, close to 30 baby quail under there, and usually by the time they're large enough, they don't need to be under there. They have enough feathers. So as you can see, there's lots of bedding mess from having to reapply clean bedding, but I just have a little feed dish, a little water tower. I have a larger feed tower in here for the meat birds, not only because there are more meat birds, but because they eat more than the layers. They're also a lot messier because as they're eating more, they're pooping more. So they've also started using their loft and sitting on top, so they've been making a mess up there. But what I'm finding is that about 3, sometimes 4 times a day, I will come here and I will just put a fresh layer of bedding down, because all of their droppings get super matted and then they're just sitting in it, and that's really not very pleasant. So then every few days I dump the whole thing out in the compost and clean it up. So what had happened, I guess, just to give you a recap, I did order these chicks from Murray McMurray Hatchery. We'll take a little peek inside here so you can take a little closer look at these cuties. And I've heard fantastic things about Murray McMurray Hatchery, and I really feel it's no fault of theirs that we had a high mortality rate. I had ordered 20 birds, which was I think the minimum that I had to order, and I was pretty okay with that because we pretty much eat about a chicken a month. We're not having chicken like every night for dinner. I really believe in having a diverse diet, so there's generally a different protein source every night of the week, ideally. And so for chicken, like one whole chicken, that can be like a few meals for us as a family of 2. So I figured ordering 20 birds, that will be great. We'll put them all in the freezer. That will last us about a year or more. You know, being able to, like, you know, have family and friends over, and also being able to cook for them too. And we had, I would say, I feel like 5 of the meat birds were dead on arrival. And then a few just were not thriving and didn't make it. So we have 13 total, which I think is a great number. for several reasons. One, for the one I just mentioned, that we're not like daily chicken eaters, but two, this is an experiment. I've never raised meat birds before, so I feel like this is a nice small scale for me to learn on. And also, as you can see, like they're poking their heads out there, but you're only seeing about half of them. And we thought this would be a huge space. So if I'm trying to imagine double the number of meat birds in here, like this would not have been enough room. So we would have been scrambling at this point, looking for, or just going to buy basically this whole setup and doing all this on a double scale. So it would be double the expense of buying another one of these brooders, which was over $100, a little heater, and buying another storage tote, having my husband modify another one of these so that the lid is ventilated. And, you know, it'd be a really big expense for just an experiment. So I feel like everything happens for a reason. And unfortunately, you know, the loss of those other chicks actually just has a silver lining to it in that way. The chicks came in a little cardboard mailbox. It was in great condition when it arrived, so it didn't appear to have been dropped or anything. However, they were shipped the very last week of January, and it was super cold. You know, they're coming from the Midwest and then here to North Carolina, and it was a super cold week. I got the shipping notification at 8 o'clock on a Tuesday night, and they were at our local post office at 11 a.m. the very next morning. So I don't believe they were in transit for very long, but in any type of cold environment for a chick, you know, if they don't have their feathers yet, is going to be a really challenging environment for them. And, you know, they do have each other to stay warm, but, you know, the ones that appeared to be, that had passed were all on the like outer skirts of the box. Look at these little ones. I don't want to interrupt them too much because they're so cute. So these little girls, I had ordered 6 layer chicks. So we have right now, I have to like think now, we have 11. Yeah, we have 11 adult layers. Not all of them, see the little beaks poking out here. Not all of them are laying anymore because some of them are like 6 years old. So every 2 years we add about 4 to 5 hens to our layer flock. And this year, and so we've never had more than 12 total chickens. And that's always been manageable for us. We have space for more, but I don't really need more, especially if they're just freeloaders. Let's open this up so you can take a better look. And so it was a little bit of a challenge because we really love the Salmon Faverel breed, and I couldn't find any locally available. So I noticed that Murray McMurray had them available. So I had added them to my order with the meat birds, and I had to order, I believe, a minimum of 6. And I was only planning on keeping 3. And then I had someone locally who was going to take the other 3. And they did put extra chicks, extra layers, and extra meat birds in the box. But there were a lot. Like, I can't remember now, but because it was about 2 weeks ago. But it was probably like 6 extra were in the box. And they were all dead, and the surviving 6 seemed super healthy. And I was like, oh, this is great because this is what I wanted, was 6 birds. I'll keep 3 and I can pass the other 3 along like I planned. And within the first 2 days, it was very obvious they were not thriving. They all had pasty butt issues, which is something that we've experienced with every Salmon Faverel that we've raised. And it just seems to be something with that breed. And the other Salmon Faverels that we have as adult hens right now weren't from Murray McMurray. So from our experience, it seems to be breed specific. So it required me to be cleaning her little bum like multiple times a day to make sure it wouldn't get clogged up. But the other girls, I didn't catch it fast enough, and they were a little backed up, and that caused them to not thrive, and they didn't make it. So I only had 1 Salmon Faverel make it, which she just was out before now. She's underneath again. And her name is Maple. And the one we're staring at now is Willow, and Willow is a Cuckoo Moran. I went to the local feed store to get her some layer friends. And so Willow is a little bit taller than the other two right now, so she's not spending as much time underneath the brooder. She has a little bit more feathers. She's a week older than them. Little Myrtle is poking her head out right now. She is beautiful, really, really gorgeous. And she says, "Oh, you're talking about me? I will come out." And she is a Welsumer. And we've never raised Cuckoo Marans or Welsumers before. And I just decided while I was at the feed store with the options available just to try something new. I've really been sticking with breeds the past few times we've gotten layers that we've had great success with, just to keep that consistency and kind of like low maintenance. They've all been really healthy, and as I mentioned before, like a lot of them are 6 years old now. So I just figured, it's time for try something new. And they're all like super, super sweet. It's interesting to see the layers next to the meat birds, because the meat birds are pretty quiet right now, but they're usually very loud and running around and crazy. But I guess it's nap time right now. And these girls are just super docile. Before I explain some more and go back upstairs, I just want to explain also, if it helps in folks setting up all their brooders and stuff. So this is where I have my grow shelves for my seedlings in the spring. And it works out really nice because the lights are on for 16 hours a day for the seedlings. They're actually getting hardened off outside, so I'm going to be transplanting them this weekend. But I also have a lamp up here. And what I do is I have timers set up so that when these lights go off, the lamp comes on. So there's always a light source for the girls, and I don't have to duplicate anything because they're already benefiting from the light that would be for the seedlings. And I just kept the light on over there, even though the seedlings are outside. I'll explain some more as I make a cup of tea. So some things that I would do differently. One, I definitely would order from the mail again, order chicks in the mail. I have no reason not to use Murray McMurray. I feel like they did a great job. The communication was perfect. They're super organized. It was an easy ordering system. The thing that I would do differently is that I wouldn't order them in this cold time of the year. And it's really hard in North Carolina because our temperatures are so dramatic in each season. You want to skip the hot time of the year, and then this time of the year it gets below freezing. So it's really hard to find a happy medium. This year, however, even though it would have been nice to avoid the cold time, I specifically needed to order them when I did, because I need them to be outside by a certain time. Because while they're in their brooder, we don't go away for a weekend. We don't go anywhere. So we're here to make sure that they've got fresh bedding and fresh food, clean water, and all that stuff. I wanted to make sure I time it so that we have flexibility throughout the rest of the year. And I wanted to just do it that way. Perhaps, in the future, I could time it so that it's maybe they're in the brooder during the honey flow, or during like a big garden time of the year when I'm going to be here pulling hornworms off of the plants or something. That could definitely be an option. I also really like that the meat birds in particular are going to be totally done and processed before we even get to May. So this is like a nice temporary experiment and learning experience, and we'll have, a great food source that we'll tap into for over a year, since we only have chicken like once a month, for just a few months of input. The other nice thing, and that's really specific to our region, is that having the meat birds done by May means that we don't need to worry about them through hurricane season. And that's something that's always on my mind. We haven't had a giant hurricane hit us, but we've had, like a category 1 and some tropical depressions come through. And I cannot imagine being here during any storm that's stronger than that. And animal care during a storm is something that's very much on my mind. I actually have a blog post about it, and I'll link that in the description if you're curious about what we do to manage animals and prepare in the event of a storm. But just making sure, like, being able to have the opportunity to plan in advance and just not have extra animals during that time just worked out really well. So with the right parameters and precautions and things, based on your own schedule, based on your own region's weather and storms and things, planning your hatches around that. And if you are ordering chicks in the mail, planning them around those factors too. And again, if you're interested in having some updates on a more frequent basis, please subscribe to my channel and the blog that I'm linking to in the description. You could also subscribe to that, and I have 1 to 2 new posts every week there, and I will share some more next time. Thanks.